Hey everyone, it's TK here. So I thought that today I would make a video on the old versions of the routes that I had planned. This was back when I was writing solo, sort of near the start of the Purist mod project. Um, yeah, so I thought I would go over them as all four routes have been coded and just talk about my process about how I thought about them. Now, clearly, these aren't the routes now. This was, they might have taken some inspiration here or there, but these aren't the same plot lines. I also thought it would be a good idea, sort of just to step through my thinking process, so you guys can kind of get an idea of how I approach this and sort of how I approach the Monica route. Unfortunately, I won't be talking about the Monica route here, uh, because yeah, the overall conception of the Monica route has not changed since the beginning. It's stayed roughly the same. Anyways, yeah, let's get on right into it. Let me. Okay, so we're gonna start off with Sayori's route. Sayori's route was the first route that I wrote. The first draft is still available right there. It's on a Google Doc floating somewhere. It's still publicly available. Um, and so it started off. Okay, these what you're gonna see here is it's very clearly ripped off the Fruit of Grisaya style. If I can, I don't think I can pull it up right now, but I will pull it up. I'll edit it in so you guys will be able to see what it looks like. Sort of what the menu should look like, because in Grisaya you had the little title cards, and then you had a little snippet that went with it. I really wish I had. I really wish I had kept an image of it. Oh, maybe. Let me see if I can pull it up right now. Grisaya, Grisaya, Grisaya. No, no. Someone. I feel like I should have. Um. No. Okay, nope. I can't find it. I was hoping I can't find it to show you on screen right now, because I would do it right now, so I'll just have to edit that in. But yes, so there was like this little title card, and then the little snippet that would essentially summarize it. And if you had read the scene, you would sort of understand what those meant. So let's go through them bit by bit. All of the routes start the day of the festival. Sayonara did not happen, so here we go. So the first draft, roughly the same, but so Confession Blues. This was essentially you did a rooftop confession with Sayori. Sorry, and she doesn't seem to believe you when you tell her that it's because you love her. Um, I think this was where one of my things in writing came along. I wanted to approach the problem not in the way most people would. Um, I'll talk more about that. Maybe I'll make another video about my process, the way I like to essentially handle fanfiction. But the general thing is I like to try to approach a problem in a different way. I'll give a brief example. So Storms Overhead, when probably my most successful fanfic in review counts. There's a lot of stories there where the main character changes the world, makes social change, etc., etc. I blame this fact because I was in AP World when I came up with the idea, but so I wanted a character who would change the world, sort of like mimicking world history, but then also knowing how to rein it back. He didn't want to change things. Even one of the things that came up was that he made a printing press, and and he told one of his confidants, "Hey, this is gonna cause the fall. This thing can cause the fall in the nobility class." Because I remember that being something I learned in AP World, how the printing press helped along with that. So that was just one of the things I approached it with. plot lines like that fell away to the wayside because I probably wasn't the best at planning. It's not like I had a solid plan. I kind of just wrote, but I'll probably go into more detail later on. Then you had the standard scene where they're enjoying themselves at the festival. You tell Sayori, maybe she doesn't believe you when she says she loves you, but when you say I love you, but you still manage to convince her that you want to be there with her. And so that led into the scene Harmonic Resonance. You play around at the festival. Then this was pretty standard for all the routes. Sky Blue Days. Sorry, jeez. Just another day at the club, albeit with some changes. This was the normal days section where it kind of shows the difference between before and after the festival. You two are now closer to each other, yada yada yada. Then cut 3, the movie marathon and the last bus home. This was one of my, I think, this is why I called my route a essentially knockoff Sachi route from Grisaya. This is roughly the same scene happens in Grisaya. But with a different setting, obviously. It's not a movie marathon. So you and Sayori go to a movie marathon in the park, and then it gets late, and the MC, as part of it, is trying to get Sayori to be a little more selfish because he notices that about her. She's more concerned about others than herself, and so he wants to try to get her to be a little more selfish. And so he insists to her, hey, I want to take the last bus. I don't want to risk possibly missing the last bus home. Let's go home. But there's one last movie. Sayori wants to see this last movie, but she caves in the end because it's what she perceives the MC to want. She sees he wants to go home, and so he goes with her. And this was part of me doing 2 plot lines. There's obviously the romance element, but there's also Sayori's depression, and that's everything that comes out of it. Now, I didn't actually want to do the depression arc because I figured, okay, well, MC's not certified in or really good at alleviating that. So instead, I will tackle something else that's very evident about her lack of selfishness, that she does everything for other people, that never for herself. Because I felt like that was a much more tangible thing that I could write about, and that people could connect with. And it was also solving the problem in a different way. I can't solve the big issue, but I can solve a symptom. Going, Gone was kind of just like, it was supposed to be just a kind of a lighthearted scene, like an intermediary scene. Poetry contest, so this is this next bump in the road. And so it has a cute part. In my head, I had a little cute park scene to go along with it. Yeah, they went to the park, they got inspired to write some poetry, went home. Then a moment too soon. A brief outburst causes plenty of misunderstanding. This was Natsuki getting a little fed up with MC and Sayori. They come to club every day, they act all lovey-dovey with each other, and it finally gets on her nerves where she just has this small outburst that's like, if you two are only here, or more specifically to MC, if you're only here to flirt with her, you can do that on your own time. Take this club seriously. And it makes Sayori run away because she's like, oh no, I caused this. Because to me, in Sayori's head, she would be thinking, this is my fault, this is my fault, this is my fault. Even though it's kind of shared. But no, that's not how she would think. Or at least that's what I think how she would think. Then you essentially run after Sayori. And I think this was where the first bad end was supposed to be. They were kind of going to be like affection points, an affection tracker. This is where Buskun was, I believe, where because it was supposed to be raining outside, because that was supposed to be totally foreshadowing. But if you didn't have enough affection points with Sayori, you would be running after her in the rain, and fail to catch her, and then she would get hit by a bus. mainly because but if you did have enough affection points, you would catch her and prevent her from doing this. I mean, I think this ties into, yes, this is essentially the Sachi route, but like worse. Um, I mean, the Sachi route was good. Don't get me wrong, but this is like a worse version of it. Um, and so I think part of my rationalization for doing this was that, you know, obviously the point for players who are in the Sayori route is that they're trying to keep her alive. And so, because they saw Sayonara, and then bam, you want to keep her alive. So what do I do if, as your price for failure, if you don't, you know, get her to trust in you enough, if you don't get close enough to her, well, the exact opposite of what you wanted happens. It's kind of like punishing in a sense. The other routes weren't so heavy on this, but we'll get to those later. Alright, so now we have Orphean Journey. Or, no, my bad. Where It All Began. This was supposed to be kind of the flashback episode. It built the relationship between MC and Sayori. Why are you able to say I love you so easily? Just the childhood friends trope? Okay, yeah, if we're childhood friends, we gotta go explore why you're childhood friends. How did you two become childhood friends? How did you two get split up? Because MC and Sayori clearly have a bit of disconnect in the beginning. So how did they grow up together? It was gonna have some like cute kindergarten scenes, and then as they grew up, middle school, high school, splitting off, and then back to um, back to how they started meeting again on that first day in the game. And I think it was mostly going to be from Sayori's perspective. I wanted it to be from her perspective, so we could see through her eyes, what it felt like with the MC. And then this leads into Orphean Journey. A man resolves to pull his woman from the depths. The MC admits he has no idea what he's doing. He can't solve depression, but he can at least try to help in some way. He could be there for her. And this is the restabilization. An apology puts the gears back into motion. As you help Sayori overcome that bump in the road. Natsuki apologizes, because the other club members implied to have kind of talked her off screen. But it's kind of like you have to show Sayori that not everything falls apart all the time just because of you. Things can change for the better. Late night call. A strange request, but it's the request of his woman. Who is he to deny her? I know these are really cheesy. I'm so sorry, but these are kind of like these little catchy little things that would help me, because this was the outline. This would help me think about what I wanted to do. And so this is like the late night kiss scene, but it's supposed to feel empty. Some part of it is missing, and it's because the MC and you come to the realization that Sayori's not doing this because it's going to make her happy, but she thinks it's going to make him happy. You think that you've solved parts of it, but you quite haven't. And then Empty Hearts. Sayori seems distracted. This was supposed to show her wavering. She did it, but then she's trying. It was going to be one of those scenes where the MC isn't there. It was going to be between Sayori and the girls, and she's grappling with herself. She did that, and she's saying, oh, in her head she's thinking, okay, well, I did it because he wants to be happy, but then she wants something. It leaves this weird emptiness in her, and it leaves her wanting something. And so that's where it is. She's being conflicted. She wants something more, but yet she has told herself again and again and again and again, I can't have something more. That's not me. I can't have more. But yet part of her is telling her, yes, you can. And so she's grappling with this, and the girls try to help walk her through this. Then the results. Results are in for the poetry contest. How did you do? Sayori didn't make it past the first round, which leads directly into the next scene. Cheering up. You go to the amusement park, and this was supposed to show Sayori's development as a reflection of this movie scene. The girls have talked to her about her selfishness, and guided her through it. And so, you have this little fun scene with Sayori. You go around the amusement park, and at the end of the day, you're about to leave to go to the last bus. MC tries to pull the same routine again, but this is I made a point that this isn't him faking it. He's actually really concerned about the last bus, because the movie bus he was like, oh, we can, we're just doing it to be safe. This one he's like, okay, we might actually miss the last bus home. But he mentions that he has money for a taxi just in case. But it's more about principle. And then Sayori tugs on his sleeve as they're leaving and just asks, like, just one more ride. And MC, caves. And Sayori asks to go on the Ferris wheel, and you have that nice little Ferris wheel date where you stop at the top, you look across the amusement park, it's all nice and pretty, and everything. And that's the end of Cheering Up. Now, this was where the climax starts, Left Behind. So now you have this selfishness, but then the MC's parents, this was something this was just an outline, so it's kind of all scattered around the place. MC's parents invite him to come back and live with him in the new city. Obviously, I should have made a note about this making this video, because I went over this like 2 days ago with some friends. Yeah, so MC would express a wish to reconnect with his parents before. This would be throughout the route. I maybe would sprinkle some scenes in where he's talking on the phone to his parents, and establish a want to reconnect with them. Sayori doesn't want to stop him, obviously, but she does want him to stay. So now she's put front and center. This isn't something small scale like, oh, we're gonna miss the bus. This is an actual life decision that will affect the MC and her relationship. And obviously, Vanishing Act. At some point, I was going to have to come clean. This was essentially, MC was hiding it from Sayori because he was grappling what to do. But Sayori finds out in the end. And so the MC leaves it to her. He says, "You know what? You can decide what to do." And so the affection point check. The bad end, light and burden. It was originally going to be sudden, but when I talked to it with some friends the other day before I made this video, it was going to be kind of like a long, sad epilogue, kind of. Sayori says, "Go with your parents." They maintain their long distance relationship, but it kind of suffers because of the long distance, and then all of MC's work is slowly undone because he really wants to reconnect with his parents, but he has to prioritize something. It's got to be, in the end, it's going to be his parents over Sayori, and so sometimes he'll hang up the phone when he doesn't mean to. He's got to go somewhere when Sayori really wants to talk. And so after a while, Sayori would, of course, go sayonara, and that's why it's called Light and Burden, is that her final words to him are like, I don't want you to be burdened with me, so I'm removing myself from the equation. Bye. The good end, on the other hand, here we go. The Weight of Two Worlds. So, Sayori goes a little crazier here. Is going to try the same thing essentially, but the MC is willing to take the burden onto himself, and he decides, what, I'm going to stay here. Like, thank you for helping me, Sayori. I'm going to stay here with you. It's going to weigh heavily on me that I'm not with my parents anymore. That I missed this opportunity, but I want to be here, and I'll take that burden on you. So, then you have like the whole emotional release things. Sayori tries to argue with you, like, no, go. Like, you should be home. And then, home is where the heart is. And then you have that, like, yeah, well, my heart is with you moment. It was going to be cheesy. It was going to be, it was going to be nice. It's going to be this very big thing. And essentially it was supposed to show Sayori's development fully. This completes like the plot line together, the running plot line of Sayori's selfishness and the plot line of their relationship. They go together. 2 lines, no waiting. They're kind of tied together though. One affects the other, but sometimes it goes, they're very linked together. I think Sayori's especially, just because of the nature of her route. But this is sort of what I like to do. And then Sunny Days, obviously the nice little pretty epilogue where you're all happy, it's sunshine, sunny days. All right, so that is the Sayori route. That was the outline. Clearly the first draft wasn't like this. This was made after the first draft. And so now I think I've been recording for a while, so I'm actually going to be splitting these up, audio clip wise and video wise. And so now next we're going to cover the Yuri route. But yeah, so before I go do that though, I just wanted to say, let me know what you guys thought of what I had here in the comment section. I like to talk to people about my ideas. That's why I like writing. I like putting stuff on FFnet. It's I want to see what people think of what I have to write, what I have the ideas that run through my head. So let me know if you thought it was like out of base for Sayori. I'll admit that I'll admit there was a bit of style over substance ones where it's like, yeah, I just want to I just want to like hammer you for as because you want to save Sayori. So the bad end, like bam, I punch you, gut punch right there. You fail, and so Sayori goes away. So I'll admit like some of that might have seemed forced, but yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section. I'll try to reply to all of you. Yeah, and I'll see you guys over in the Yuri video.